Hi there, we're back. So I'm interviewing Arwen from Of Butterflies and Things. Sorry for the bleh. Of Butterflies and Things, and she is a ball jointed doll original designer. So today we want to interview you about doll aesthetics. So let's get going.
Hello.
So, how did you get into the ball jointed dolls to start with?
Oh, that's like, it's actually 10 years ago.
Anniversary.
As I understand it, I got into it pretty normally. I was just browsing one day on Google and I saw this doll and I went,
ooh. Right.
It wasn't the first doll I ended up buying because it was horribly expensive. It was a Dolce Saint and everybody falls in love with a Dolce Saint. So I didn't end up buying it. I got something cheaper. And it took me 5 years before I got a Dolce Saint.
Oh, that's a long wait.
Oh, that's not unusual. Yeah. I have loads of dolls now. Not all of the Dolce Saint price brackets. And from there on, and I ended up making my own.
Yeah, well, that is quite exceptional. Yes.
Yeah, a lot of people in ball jointed dolls do a lot of things with the dolls to make the dolls the way the uniqueness that they are. Because you get the doll basically naked and as a blank slate, and everybody puts their own interpretation on it, with a choice of face up, choice of hair, choice of outfit, make your own outfit, choice of shoes, make your own shoes, make your own wig. Lots of people do that. Make your own face ups, lots of people do that. And then one step beyond that is make your own doll.
Yeah, few people, I would imagine, do that.
A lot of people do it in craft clay. Just the doll is that what it is and never gets cast, because these resin dolls are all cast in a company from a prototype, from an original. The mold is made and then they're cast. So you don't have to, if you want to make dolls, you don't have to do that. It's actually very difficult to do it yourself. I don't do it myself.
It sounds like a professional process, yeah.
Yeah, it's you need a small factory for it. It's a very small factory. Just you have to have a place where you can actually have a wet room and say, okay, this is going to be full of drips of resin and stuff like that. Oh
dear, yes.
So I don't do that. I'm stick to making prototypes and let somebody else cast it. But you can legitimately make your own doll by using paper clay or craft clay, and just shape your doll. There's one of the things I really like about this hobby. There's no limit. If there's no such thing as an ugly doll, and even if you say, oh, aesthetically lacking, there's always somebody who loves it anyway.
Well, you know.
There was actually a doll company which doesn't exist anymore called Unidoll, and they made particularly ugly dolls, and everybody loved them.
Talk about it because they're out of
they don't exist anymore. Yeah. And they made a couple of particularly ugly heads, and the bodies were pretty normal. And there's another doll company which does still exist, Doll Chateau, who makes very interesting bodies and aesthetically they're not in any way ugly. It's just they're more interesting than some people may be comfortable with.
Some people love interesting though.
Indeed. Yes. But there's no such thing as a doll that nobody can love, basically, in this hobby. And I like that. Of course,
yeah. So, but I would go out there and I would look for my dream doll. Is it out there?
Well, you have to tell me what your dream doll is.
Oh, I see.
But
I don't know that exactly.
The short answer is there's going to be something out there. If you like dolls, I mean, if you're into dolls, there's going to be something out there that's going to be pleasing to you. I suggest you just go Google images or Pinterest images and just type in whatever you like. Ball joint BJD, maybe a frog, if you like frogs. You will find a ball jointed frog out there, and it'll be green too.
How cool! I've never done that. That's definitely on my list now.
Oh yes, these are usually smaller dolls, about that size. No, it's called tiny, and there's a whole menagerie of animals out there in that size.
Okay. Yeah.
So you can buy rabbits and frogs and horses and.
Awesome! It's so awesome. So, what's the most popular doll type out there?
I can't answer that.
Oh, I see.
Because there is going to be literally, if you make for any doll, there's going to be somebody who loves it, and some people say, oh, it has to be a mature male about that size. That's outside of the camera. I'm giving you 70 centimeters here. Yes. And some say, oh, it has to be a 45 centimeter doll,
smaller,
or it has to be tiny. It has to be tiny. It has to be.
Put it in my pocket.
And some say, oh, it has to be a Dolce, or it has to be Ippelhaus, or it has to be Doll Chateau.
So, basically, I would know what my dream doll is
the moment you see it.
Right. Yes.
And if you were so inclined, and you say, okay, my dream doll is not out there, you could always make it yourself.
Yeah, if I'm as creative as you.
There's a lot of people who are creative in this hobby, and I like it that you can do very little to a doll and have a perfect doll. You can actually go to the company. A lot of the companies will sell you a full set, and you will get a lovely doll with a lovely outfit, and it will be glorious. But you can also buy the doll butt naked and completely do everything yourself.
Okay.
And I don't know.
Any stage in between?
Any stage in between, or take the naked doll and turn him into a robot or something, with painting it silver and gouging out things.
You have done such a thing. Quite some interesting results. Yeah. Beautiful.
All these things are possible, and that's the fun part about this hobby. And there's there's no. Even if you have the same original doll from the company, that you can have from one doll, you can have 50 completely different dolls.
Wow.
It's just somebody has a doll she's saint, and my doll she's saint is not going to be the same as somebody else's doll she's saint, because I made other choices for him.
Yes, so personality-wise, they will also not.
Oh, they're all sulky. Saint is known for being sulky.
Oh well. So that actually brings me to the next subject I had, which is custom manufacturing. Can you talk about that for a bit?
Well, you can. There's two parts to that. You can. Very rarely you can actually approach a company and say, oh, I want this or that doll made, and then they can design it for you. But it's very rare, and they have to see that there's enough people for it. Or you can make your own paper clay doll and ask a company to cast it for you.
Wow.
But there's just some things you have to keep in mind for that. So a doll is cast. For that you need molds, and these molds generally for ball-jointed dolls, for resin, they last between 15 and 30 casts. So
one mold will actually put out between 15 and 30 actual dolls.
Yes.
And then the mold is dead. It needs to be trashed.
Yes. What happens is that the resin is quite, when it's still hardening, it's quite aggressive, and it simply eats at the mold. And the reason that you can have as few as 15 is when you have darker skin colors or brighter skin colors, it eats faster it eats the mold faster.
The darker skins do.
Yeah, so if you go
so
all
the dark tones are more harder on the molds and will wear them out more quickly. Right. Okay.
And then, but it's as such, it's no problem, because you can make a new set of molds from your original prototype.
Oh,
and go for another run.
Okay.
Yes, but the run is limited to between 15 and 30 dolls.
Yes.
This has advantages. It has disadvantages. One of the disadvantages is that so every 15 to 30 dolls you have to get new molds. That means that your edition is only that. Whereas in books you can print 100,000 and never have to replace anything.
Yes.
So you're starting from scratch every time, and all the doll companies have that same problem. So that's why they sometimes discontinue something, because also if you don't use the molds, they also die, and the molds they're quite expensive to make.
That explains why sometimes they take dolls out of production.
Yeah.
Whereas you think, that's a timeless doll, please keep it in production, and then suddenly then it's not available anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at secondhand, faded, yellowy. Oh. Yeah.
Also because they want to try something new, but you have to actually use the molds, or they will die and you will wear them out when you use them.
So the company might prefer to print off the 15, 20, 25 dolls in one go, if at all possible.
No, they can't, because it's custom manufacturing. It's made to order.
Oh, that's what that means.
Yeah, it's if I say I want this doll in a normal skin, and somebody else has a white skin, and somebody else has a yellow skin, and they can't pre-make these because it turns out if they make they could be short on some and have too many of the other.
And I want my pink skin one.
You want
or my
your purple,
green
your skin one.
Yes.
Exactly. So it's always made to order, and the mold gets used when the order comes in. There's also the molds themselves are quite costly for the company to make. So they want to, if you do custom manufacturing, they will ask you to order a minimum amount of the doll, so it's actually worth for them to make the molds.
Right.
And the time and the money and the materials are quite expensive. So if you say I have made a little froggy about that size, and you want to have it cast, they will say, and we need you to buy between 10 and 30. It depends on the company. Between 10 and 30 of them guaranteed.
Right.
And so that you have to keep that in mind whenever you do custom manufacturing. But
it sounds like a tall order for one person to do.
What people do generally, if you go for what they call mini-me, which is a head of a known person, a portrait basically, a portrait head.
A famous movie star or of a character
or your sister, or it doesn't matter who. They will do anything. If you find a designer to do that, or sometimes they're actually attached to a company, but not always, they will tell you, I need you to buy at least 10 or at least 30, I don't know. Yeah. And then you can actually go out.
There's a minimum amount they will set, and then you have to go out and get 30 people or 10 people
together and to say commit to this and do it.
Okay.
And that's possible.
So we're back to
the community.
The community and talking to people and getting people together. And then actually having fun waiting and talking while this process.
Yeah, this is not going to be a fast process. There's been for mini-me making. It could be a couple of years before it actually starts, and then it's another year before you actually have your head. You have to have one thing. You have to have patience in this hobby, but because even if you buy a doll straight from the company, they have to make it. It will take 4 weeks minimum. Yeah. Then it needs to be shipped. So you will. This is not an instant parcel kind of deal.
Yeah. Yeah.
No overnight deliveries. Sorry.
Yeah.
There have been people waiting from some companies for a year and a half.
Wow.
That's it. This company is actually known for this, so people know this. Hopefully, they know this when they buy, or they get told pretty soon after.
Yes. Talk to people, please.
Talk to
people
before
you order anything.
But yeah, it happens. You will get apology. They will apologize profusely for it, but it will happen.
It will take that long.
It may take that long. You should probably expect 6 to 9 months from that particular company.
Well, we're gonna round this off really quickly because we're running out of time. So I want to thank Arvin from OfButterFliesAndThings for telling us everything today about aesthetics.
Bye.
See you next time.